souls looking for a home. Little soldier boy thought he could soar. Brave soldier boy fallen in the war. My little soldier boy, I need you home. Brave soldier boy, come marching home.
Good job, y'all. All right. 15-minute break.
Alrighty.
Vocals sound great. Tim, I'm looking forward to it, man.
AR-50.
Nick's out today.
Testing.
Just so you didn't try to hand me one.
Announcements. Music. You're telling me, am I telling you about this? You're telling me about the trigger warning? Oh, I can, no, I can. That's fine. I'm trying to.
That's why I provided everything to
Got
you.
it. Okay. Okay, I think I put all the fires out. I don't have my regular worship book, so. Are we ready? Good morning, everyone. I'm Lauren Cantatori-Causey. I am your worship associate today. I am co-leader with Django for the worship team, and I'm very pleased to be here this morning. Whether you've been here for decades, years, months, or if you're just visiting us for the first time, we welcome you to our service. This congregation is a theologically diverse community, religious community with participation open to all who agree to live into our principles, mission, and covenant. We are a welcoming congregation to people of all sexual orientations and gender identities, races, ethnicities, and abilities, and we unconditionally welcome you as your full, authentic self to our community of caring and intent to grow as spiritual and moral beings. Every week, We affirm our church covenant, which is not a creed, but a promise that we share with each other. Our congregation has also adopted a covenant of positive relations, which is a longer statement of how we as a congregation live into our covenant, both within and outside these walls. We have several announcements this morning. Okay, can you help the church run more smoothly? We need somebody to help monitor building systems. It doesn't mean you're the handyman and handy woman or handy anybody, and you just have to be available to just kind of monitor the systems and help the board know what's going on with those so that things like the thermostats can be fixed. Anyway, the leadership development team is the group that should be able to help you with that. That's Django and Deborah Sunderman. And then let's see, this, if you oppose book bans, our local library, public library board, with its new membership, is engaged in book reviews that threaten to override the professional librarian's judgment and censor the library contents on the basis of the board members' personal, religious, political, and moral beliefs. If you believe in the freedom to read, please attend the next library board meeting on June 4th at 10:30 a.m. at the La Retama Library to let your feelings be known. Arrive early if you want to get on the list to make comments. This is a group of people who are really serious about picking and choosing what they feel is best for our city. And Kathy Westergren has more information. You can talk with her after the service, but it would be great if we could show up in force to protect that liberty that we have. If you're interested in learning American Sign Language, there will be a basic communication skills in ASL with Ren Aldridge every Monday evening starting June 10th from 6 to 7 p.m. in the Raspberry Room. Donations are welcome but not required and will go to U2C3. Let's see, and I think I have Claire wanted to come up and give an announcement on the WAGS group.
So I'm going to be running a Call of Cthulhu one-shot for the next WAGS. So after, I want to say maybe around 1, I'll be doing character creation. So if anyone's interested, feel free to come.
I have one last announcement. It's I'm sad to say that we lost one of our U2C3 members on May 14th. Donna Huddleston, her husband Lee Huddleston, and Donna have been longtime members of this church. We don't see them in the building often because they have health problems. But Donna passed away at the age of 76. She, if you check out her obituary online, she was an amazing person. She had a doctorate in nursing and taught at Del Mar College. And the family has decided to have a private memorial for them. But if you can keep them in your thoughts, that would be lovely. Thank you. It's our custom in this church to offer visitors and newcomers an opportunity to introduce themselves if they feel welcome to do so. If it's your first time or you just feel ready to say hello after coming for a while, we invite you to stand as you are able or raise your hand and tell us your name and where you are from. Do we have any visitors that would like to introduce themselves today? Oh. Hold on one second.
I have a little announcement on Tuesday this week at the Democratic Divas. It's at the Silverado Steakhouse, Silverado Smokehouse on what street? Weber. Our friend Julie Rogers was displaced from the library board along with 4 other members to make room for this new organization called Something for Life, the ones that are taking over the books and declaring that certain books should be removed from our libraries. And Julie is going to talk about her experience being removed from the board after 7 years of service to the library board. So there's an insidious takeover of our institutions, and this is an explanation of that. That's Tuesday at 11:30, lunch.
Thank you. Are there any visitors that would like to introduce themselves?
Hi, my name is Lily Rincon. I just wanted to say hi after coming here for a long time.
Well, welcome all of you who've joined us today, and we'd love to have coffee and conversation with you after the service. Our service will now begin.
I'm only human. I'm only human, human.
Maybe I'm foolish, maybe I'm blind, thinking I can see through this and see what's behind. And no way to prove it, so maybe I'm lying. But I'm only human after all.
I'm only human after all. Don't put your blame on me. Don't put your blame on me.
Take a look in the mirror and what do you see? Do you see it clear or are you deceived in what you believe? But I'm only human after all. You're only human after all. Don't put your blame on me. Don't put your blame on me.
Some people got the real problems. Some people out of luck. Some people think I can solve them. Some heaven above. I'm only human after all. I'm only human after all. Don't put your blame on me. Don't put the blame on me. Don't ask my opinion, don't ask me to lie, then beg for forgiveness for making you cry. For making you cry. 'Cause I'm only human after all. I'm only human after all. Don't put the blame on me. Put your blame on me. Oh, some people got the real problems. Some people out of luck. Some people think I can solve them. Lord heaven above. I'm only human after all. I'm only human after all. Don't put the blame on me. Don't put the blame on me. I'm only human, I make mistakes. I'm only human, I do what it takes. Don't put the blame on me. Don't put the blame on me. 'Cause I'm no prophet or Messiah. You should go looking somewhere higher. I'm only human after all. I'm only human after all. Don't put the blame on me. Don't put the blame on me. I'm only human, do what I can. I'm just a man, do what I can. Don't put the blame on me. Put the blame on me.
So, the theme of our service today is the true cost of war. Our opening words this morning are by me. And I'd like to invite Lily and Zeta up to light our chalice this morning. For those of you who have served in the military or have had someone serve in the military, we don't often think about the total cost of war. And I'm sending a blessing to those families who have experienced a loss. And the lighting of our chalice just send love into all those people's hearts. Please rise and body your spirit for the affirmation of our church covenant. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve into that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with all we hold sacred. Please be seated. Okay. Sorry about that.
Wondering what's been going on. I've been here before, but I don't remember when. And every time we get to where we're entering, I feel my beliefs and hopes surrendering. But I know I'll be coming home soon. Yes, I know I'll be coming home soon. 'Cause like the enemies that we are battling, I am nothing but a human alien, left with nothing else but to keep wandering down this path while stop my hands from trembling. Because I know that I'll be coming home soon. And yes, I know that I'll be coming home soon. With a soldier's eyes, with a soldier's eyes, with a soldier's eyes, with a soldier's eyes. Seen inside the devil's dreams where young men die, and graveyards open up their arms for mothers left to cry. I have seen the bleeding and I hate what we've done, but just like every other fool here, I'll keep marching on, because I know that I'll be coming home soon. And yes, I know that I'll be coming home soon. With a soldier's eyes, with a soldier's eyes, with a soldier's eyes, with a soldier's eyes.
Our story for all ages today is a true story from Iraq, and it's called The Librarian of Basra. And after our story for all ages, we will sing the children out, and Arlene will be helping with religious exploration today. Thank you. In the Quran, the first thing God said to Muhammad was, read. That's a quote by Aliyah Muhammad Baker, and she is who this story is about. Aliyah Muhammad Baker is the librarian of Basra, a port city in the sand-swept country of Iraq. Her library is a meeting place for all who love books. They discuss matters of the world and matters of the spirit. Until now, they only talk of war. Will planes with bombs fill the sky? Will bombs fall here? Will soldiers with guns fill the street? Will our families survive? What can we do? Aliyah worries that the fires of war will destroy the books, which are more precious to her than mountains of gold. The books are in every language, new books, ancient books, even a biography of Muhammad that is 700 years old. She asks the governor for permission to move them to a safe place. He refuses. So Aliyah takes matters into her own hands. Secretly, she brings books home every night, filling her car late after work. The whispers of war grow louder. The government offices are moved into the library. Soldiers with guns wait on the roof. Aliyah waits and fears the worst. Then, rumors become reality. War reaches Basra. The city is lit with a firestorm of bombs and gunfire. Aliyah watches as library workers, government workers, and soldiers abandon the library. Only Aliyah is left to protect the books. She calls over the library wall to her friend Anis Muhammad, who owns a restaurant on the other side. Can you help me save the books? I can use these curtains to wrap them. Here are crates from my shop. Can you use these sacks? The books must be saved. All through the night, Aliyah, Anis, his brothers and shopkeepers and neighbors take the books from the library shelves, pass them over the 7-foot wall, and hide them in Anis's restaurant. The books stay hidden as the war rages on. Then 9 days later, a fire burns the library to the ground. The next day, soldiers come to Anis's restaurant. Why do you have a gun, they ask. To protect my business, Anis replies. The soldiers leave without searching inside. They do not know that the whole of the library is in my restaurant, thinks Anis. At last, the beast of war moves on. Aliyah knows that if the books are to be safe, they must be moved again while the city is quiet. So she hires a truck to bring all 30,000 books to her house and to the houses of friends. In Aliyah's house, books are everywhere, filling floors and cupboards and windows, leaving barely enough for anything else. Aliyah waits. She waits for war to end. She waits and dreams of peace. She waits and dreams of a new library. But until then, the books are safe. Safe with the librarian of Basra. The end. Our meditation reading this morning is by Simone Weil, La Critique Sociale, translated. War is once more a problem on the order of the day. We live in constant expectation of it. The danger is perhaps imaginary, but the fear is real, and itself is a factor of importance. The only word for it is panic, not so much the dread of physical massacre as psychological anxiety before the problems posed by modern warfare. After our time of silent reflection, if you feel so moved, you may come up and light a candle. Please use the center aisle. And for those of you online, you may add to the chat feature if you'd like to share a joy or a sorrow. Our speaker today, Tim Loya, served as a U.S. Marine from 1999 to 2005, experiencing both the peacetime and wartime military. He studied political science at Seattle Central College and global policy studies at the LBJ School in Austin, where he focused on the role of special U.S. operations have on foreign government policy. He has authored such papers as Why Coca-Cola is More Likely to Be Responsible for World War III Than Nuclear Proliferation, and BRICS and the Recolonization of Africa and its Impact on Global Stability. He has contributed to reports to the U.S. Special Operations Command, the U.S. Army Futures Command, and the UN High Commissioner for Refugees. Please welcome Tim Loya.
Good morning, everybody. So originally, I was hoping she would read this, but in today's message, we will be hearing about individual accounts from war to include trauma and actions taken that some might find difficult to hear. To accommodate this, we are providing an alternative activity that you may take part in if you do not wish to be present for this message. You may leave at any time. I promise I won't be offended. This is not my first time up here, and sometimes I might say things you may not agree with. So let me start with the least controversial thing I will ever say from this pulpit. War is bad. Now let me say one thing in defense of war. My diplomatic training is very basic. I went a different route with my global studies program. What I did learn is the most important part of diplomacy is you must always be willing to speak the language of the person on the other side of the table. Sometimes that language is violence. As much as we can and should hope for peace, we must also acknowledge that there are those who see violence as the first and only solution to pursue, and we must be willing to speak with them at that level or find our necks under their boots. The only thing the moral high ground provides is a better view of the battle you are losing. So now let us move on to the cost of war, and first I'll speak on the individual cost. There are only two types of people that can answer this point with any degree of accuracy: those who have survived the horrors of war and those who have not. Historians do not recount the truth of war. They sanitize it. I am about to be very vulnerable with this church and talk about some of my experiences from my 2 deployments to Iraq. I'm stating these experiences not in an attempt to garner attention or even sympathy, but to share with you some of the realities of wartime. I am by no means someone who came away with the worst consequences war can deliver, but I'm also not someone that got off freely. I'm not going to speak about post-traumatic stress disorder, mostly because it has been overdiagnosed, misdiagnosed, and self-diagnosed to the point of being almost worthless to bring up in a public setting. PTSD has become this generation's ADHD. Now, this first point, for some of you, may come across as a matter of semantics. I assure you it is not. I enlisted in 1999. The U.S. military was primarily engaged in international training, humanitarian and disaster relief, and foreign internal defense. I joined in case there was a war. After September 11th, 2001, we started seeing people join because there was a war. Glory seekers, medal chasers, and hero wannabes. These people are dangerous, not just to the enemy, but to the civilian population and those serving alongside them. And even though I worked in a field that took a little longer for Marines to trickle in, they still did eventually show up with those same attitudes. I learned in short order that I could no longer trust the Marines to my left and right. I could only imagine what it was like in the other services and less demanding occupations. Moving on, for those that have never been to war, a unit stopping operations to hold an award ceremony isn't a rare thing. Normally, it means something of major significance has happened. So when my unit took an operational pause to hold such an event, I took note. I was surprised when our captain was called to stand in front to receive an award. For those unaware, the occupational specialties where officers actually do the work are very rare. Mostly they are supervisors. In many fields, such as ours, the officers aren't even the primary planners. They simply coordinate resources and support and sign off on that plan that the team of enlisted develop. When they began reading the citation for this award and started talking about things that my Marines had accomplished, I was furious. He had done none of those things. He was barely even responsible for them being done. But him receiving that award was within the rules. However, much like the adage, just because it's legal doesn't mean it's right, just because it's within the rules doesn't mean it's right either. I even went so far in what I felt was entirely appropriate at the time to threaten his life. For a long time, I distrusted anyone with a college degree, narrowed that down to just military officers, and now mostly I just distrust most Marine officers. Despite the supposedly high standards, and most definitely, I live with the experience of seeing over and over again of rules being used to bully. Another lesson I learned from that incident is that no magic piece of paper makes anyone a leader. It doesn't matter if it's a degree in physical education, political science, physics, and most definitely not a degree in divinity. Nothing about it makes you a leader. In fact, not even focused and devoted leadership training can guarantee someone becomes a leader, as evidenced by our modern military officer corps. The last personal experience I will speak about is very important to me. I will not deny the value that dogs have had in people's healing, especially other veterans. Many people see dogs as sources of safety, security, and comfort. But if you think that is universal, you are wrong. And if you think that anyone that does not like dogs is a bad person, you're ignorant. For those who don't know, dogs very quickly turn feral. And when dogs become feral, they become a danger to human life. When the civilian population largely abandoned the city during the First Battle of Fallujah, many of them left behind their dogs. Those dogs became feral. We first began receiving reports of Marines and soldiers being attacked by small packs of dogs. I personally came across several instances of dogs feeding on human corpses. Eventually, we received orders to shoot any dog on sight. I have made some progress when it comes to dogs. However, now, 20 years later, when I hear a dog barking in anger or warning, I still find myself reaching for a weapon. One last thing on dogs. I know many of you are thinking, I would never leave my dog behind. But that's not a question you can answer in advance. You can hope for that. So did the population of Fallujah. And if you think that's a cultural thing, I invite you to look closer at the after effects of Hurricanes Katrina and Harvey. Many of you who think and say you would never leave your pets behind will. That's simply a fact. And now, with all of that out in the open, you know what the damned thing of it is? I often still prefer there to here. So now I'm going to move on to speaking more broadly than my own experiences and on some of the other costs of veterans. Firstly, while veterans comprise less than 1% of the total U.S. population, they make up almost 8% of the homeless. That number is even higher among women veterans. Veterans face a rate of incarceration twice that of the general population, in a 2017 study, found that nearly 1 in 3 veterans reported having been arrested at least once. Additionally, veterans on average receive longer sentences than the general population. While there is a correlation between PTSD and traumatic brain injury, those demographics do not entirely line up and provide very little evidence of anything more than an increased chance for arrest and prison time. Then there's suicide. I'm sure some of you have heard the phrase 22 a day and know exactly what that means. But while the VA is now reporting that they have shrank that number to 17, that's still significantly higher than the non-veteran population. However, a study conducted in a joint partnership between America's Warrior Partnership, the University of Alabama, and Duke University reported that the number of veteran suicides per day is actually closer to 44. Their metrics cast a larger net and include reports that the VA and local governments may have ruled as accidental discharges, some states not even reporting their numbers at all, and many other reasons. But why are all these things happening? My strongest hypothesis, it's society. You see, some of the very first things we learn in the military is that the self doesn't matter. We have proven to us in training, and most definitely at war, that you can accomplish so much more working together than you could as an individual. That the mission, the goal, comes first before any one person. In the civilian world, those things are not only not practiced, but often the opposite is rewarded. Individualism and selfishness are often highlighted as virtues. Failure to adapt to this sudden and very drastic shift is, I believe, a large cause of that homelessness, incarceration, and suicide among my sisters and brothers. That you cannot trust when you were just in a situation where you were required to trust is a hard lesson for many veterans to learn. It was a lesson I had to learn again very recently. I'll ask for forgiveness in advance for this analogy I'm about to use because no human deserves to be compared to an animal. But it is the anecdote I think most people here will be able to connect with. I know many of us have worked with animals throughout the years, and in some instances that animal may have been feral or abused. I want you to remember the look you saw in their eyes, that even when you had a soft word or offered a kindness, that look that I can only describe as hard fear, the look that comes from years of cruelty and hardship to the point that any compassion, any mercy comes off as alien, where trust of others has become so rare that it is nearly impossible to even comprehend. Now I want you to imagine that look on a human face, not just a single person, an entire village. Not just the men, the women and children as well. Daughters and sons, grandmothers and grandfathers. To me, that's more representative of war than tanks and Humvees and convoy or fighters and drones flying overhead. It may be obvious that there is a cost to society in the place where that war occurs, but in instances where one of the belligerents is expeditionary, back home there is still a cost the public faces, even if it is not the destruction of their homes or the taking of their lives. The nation I thought I was defending was not the nation I came home to. One of the biggest costs of war our nation has experienced, especially after over 20 years of constant war, is the rise of PC culture. Not the one you're thinking of, but rather patriotic correctness. The belief that any criticism of the government, military, or wars in which we are engaged somehow makes you a lesser person. I most often experience this in what many of us in the veteran community have termed plastic patriots. People who say they are in support of the troops, who in their very next breath will call you a traitor for having an opinion contrary to one of theirs. Another one of the costs of war is the so-called civilian-military divide. It is a consequence of the all-volunteer force, where less and less of the population serve in the military or even adjacent to it. And so have more and more fictionalized understanding of what the military actually is and what it does. Then there's the myth that only the dumb people join the military. While our colleges live by the adage, C's make degrees, the military operates more on the level of get an A or go away. So in addition to just an abject lack of understanding, there's often belittling from the academic community, despite our standards being higher than their own. Our own society has become the living embodiment of Thucydides' quote, "The society that separates its scholars from its warriors will have its thinking done by cowards and its fighting done by fools." Next, I'd like to talk about the cost of war on animals. I've talked a bit about the dogs, but dogs alone are not the only victims of war. All animals can be. If you understand how a storm can drive wildlife from an area, imagine how a storm of steel and lead can do the same. Wars create unnatural migration and abandoned pets. Animals can be wounded the same as a human. If you would like a more personal look at the effects war can have on animals, there are 2 charities I invite you to visit and peruse their photo collections, whether you decide to contribute to them or not. First, in Syria, which has been experiencing a civil war since 2011, in and around the city of Aleppo, what has grown into a ranch, serving as a refuge and rescue for all types of animals, but mostly cats, is known as Ernesto's Sanctuary for Cats, or also the Aleppo Cat Men. If reading their stories and seeing their pictures doesn't hurt your heart, I don't know what to tell you. Additionally, in Ukraine, a nation under siege since 2014, is serviced by an animal rescue from neighboring Romania called Rolda. Again, I ask you just to visit their site and pages, view their pictures, read their stories. Even if you feel you shouldn't contribute to a war effort because wars are purely human affairs and you disagree with the politics or reasons of both sides, or any reason, surely you can feel empathy for those beings that had no voice in the declaration of that war, and yet are wounded, traumatized, and lose their homes just like any other human. Lastly, I would like to talk about one of the ultimate costs of war, and one that largely goes unnoticed: the planet Earth, and how our wars impact it, sometimes with very long-term consequences. I'm not talking about the 1960s era mutually assured destruction, though that definitely qualifies for this topic. I want to hit on smaller scale issues geographically. I'm confident many people here have heard of Agent Orange and the damage we have done to the nation of Vietnam, the cancers created in our veterans, and the birth defects still experienced by children being born to this day. And I by no means want to belittle those horrors, but they are not alone. Iraq is currently experiencing a very similar rate of birth defects attributed to our use of depleted uranium and other heavy weapons and chemicals released by damaged armored vehicles. Near Baghdad itself, the rate is over 12 births per 1,000. And while such effects are higher in the southern area of the nation, where coalition forces saw the majority of combat during the 1991 and 2003 invasions, the northern regions are not free from those consequences either, though their effects are more often attributed to the large-scale employment of chemical weapons by Saddam during the Iran-Iraq War. If these things are impacting humans in the area, think about what it must be doing to create birth defects, mutations, cancers, and stillbirths among the animals, retarding and preventing the growth of vegetation. What affects us affects everything around us. But what if we dialed that horror up to 11? Some of you get that reference? What if I told you that there was a forest you couldn't even walk into unprotected, or you would simply fall over dead? The lands surrounding Verdun, where the guns fell silent over 100 years ago, is considered a red zone, where human occupation is prohibited and visitation is strictly limited and monitored. Almost 450 square miles of it. Not only is the ground and low-level air still so poisonous, you would likely be exposed to the same mustard gas our grandfathers and great-grandfathers were shelled with, but there's also a large amount of unexploded ordnance, yet another cost of war we often only associate with the damage and death it causes to humans, but it also impacts animals and the environment. And those unexploded munitions cannot even be diffused due to their inaccessibility and age. So, revisiting one of my initial statements, war is bad. And still, even after all the terrible things I've described here, I believe with everything that I am that it is a necessary evil. Until we are mature enough as a species that violence is never considered by anyone to be the method to solve a problem, everyone else must be willing to answer that violence with the same, or find themselves the perpetual victim of lesser people. Thank you.
During today's postlude, we will be playing taps. At that time, we would ask you to stand as you are willing and able and face the soldier's cross and take the time to reflect upon someone or something you have lost to war. Now is the time we participate in the care of our church community by giving and receiving the offering. When the music begins, the ushers will pass the offering basket to you, and all you have to do is drop your offering in. No passing required. In addition to the basket, and for those who are joining us at home, we have several options for making a Sunday offering. Please use the links on screen to give through our website, by PayPal, or using the Vanco mobile app. Your offering, no matter how you make it, will be gratefully received. We'll now proceed with the collection of the offering.
Leaves from the vine falling so slow, like fragile tiny shells drifting in the foam. Little soldier boy, come marching home. Brave soldier boy, come marching home. Ash in the snow, falling so slow, like fragile broken hearts with no place to go. Little soldier boy, taken from home, forced to fight a war that was not his own. Little soldier boy, cold and alone, brave soldier boy, never made it home. Leaves from the vine, changing so slow, like empty fallen souls looking for a home. Little soldier boy, thought he could soar. Brave soldier boy, fallen in the war. My little soldier boy, I need you home. Brave soldier boy, come marching home.
Our closing words today are by George Santayana from Soliloquies in England and later Soliloquies Tipperary. Only the dead are safe. Only the dead have seen the end of war. Not that non-existence deserves to be called peace. It is only by an illusion and a pathetic fallacy that we are tempted to call it so. The Church has a poetical and melancholy prayer that the souls of the faithful departed may rest in peace. If in that sigh there lingers any fear that when a tomb is disturbed, the unhappy ghost is doomed to walk more often abroad, the fear is mad. And if it merely expresses the hope that dead men's troubles are over, the wish is superfluous, but perhaps we may gloss the old superstition and read it into the rational aspiration that all souls in other spheres or in the world to come upon earth might learn to live at peace with God and with things. That would be something worth praying for, but I'm afraid it's asking too much. God, and I mean the sum of all possible good, is immutable. To make our peace with him, it is we, not he, that must change. Please stand as you are willing and able. Thank you. Go in peace. Go in love. Yesterday, my daughter was posting something about when everybody comes back to full pieces of themselves, even if they didn't die in battle. And she was talking about using Memorial Day as a way to grieve,
You did awesome.
pay respect. And some guy who was a soldier said, "Well, don't thank me for my service on Memorial Day," and blah blah blah. And another friend said, "You're not getting the point that people come back broken." And then she talked about, her ex-husband, my son-in-law, who drank himself to death. Anyway, thank you.
Hi, Miss Darby.
Thank you. You said some things that were new. I didn't. But
I am not always right.
No,
no fair. That's no fair. She knows you better than me.
But it's okay.
So that was her.
But you did great.
You're a free spirit. Oh, yeah, I take that. Hey, Michael. I love your shirt.
I earned it the hard way.
Oh,
This is no longer my sanctuary. This is not a sanctuary. I'm sorry for the people that miss me, but I cannot attend church with the kind of people that jeered me and then listen to them live in this sanctuary. No, love is not the doctrine of this church. Didn't realize until then that I had given up on all churches, including this one. Remember, I was out of church for 40 years before I landed here. But
Just aim to tell the truth.
well, it is the truth. And I really, really love what you said about the patriotic correctness. Just flies my ass. You know who was also not a fan of it? My father. He fought in the Pacific and in Korea as an artillery officer. And he had no use for flag waving whatsoever. I've got to talk to Kathy. I'm going to be wherever we're protesting tomorrow because freedom of speech in the fucking Constitution sure as hell includes the freedom to write and the freedom to read without having somebody put their opinions on you in advance.
Yep.
We need to have walleye fucking
I was going to say, there's a reason it's the First Amendment, because the Church of England was doing the exact same thing that is getting done by the Moms for Liberty now.
the good old C of E.